Hi, this is my third time talking about grief warriors, people who are sad and concerned about what's going on with our climate, among other things, but are yet to continue to fight for making a change, having things work again, being able to work with our children and tell them what to do. This particular time I'm talking about, don't mention it. And this is the line I get when I try to talk to my daughter and her husband, of course. My daughter and her husband are Republican, and they don't believe in climate change. They don't think it's really happening. They think that it's just a normal sequence in our world and everything's going to be fine. I have a girlfriend who does believe in climate change, but she never wants me to talk about it under any circumstances. Don't talk about it. Well, in both cases, we're dealing with the same situation. If people won't talk about it, if people don't believe it, either way, we're not getting a message out to others that we need to prepare. We need to, well, some of us are putting aside food because we feel like the supply chains are going to be interrupted. When things don't grow correctly, supply chains will be interrupted. When tornadoes or earthquakes or pandemics, because one of the things they've said is that as things shake loose, especially on the ice areas at the top and the bottom of the globe, there's going to be different bugs and bacterias and viruses come out that we've not seen before, and they're going to make us sick. So there's a lot of different concerns. And when we have wars, we pull up all kinds of dirts and things that haven't been pulled up before. That can cause diseases, some contagious, some not. There's just all kinds of situations that could cause people to become more aware of climate change. Too late for them to really think through what they want to do about it or how they want to approach it or what they want to say to their children, because a lot of children are saying they don't want to go to school. They're nervous, they're anxious, they're concerned. They've got so many things on their mind about what's happening with climate change, and they're just really uncomfortable, and they feel like they're not being uniformly supported by adults. And they also want to blame older adults like myself for doing nothing. And of course, as I've said before on this channel, I've been trying since 1962 to convince people to look at the fact that Rachel Carson wrote a book called Silent Spring, and it was about the chemicals that we were using on our plants that were killing the birds. And if we don't have birds and we don't have insects, we don't have pollinators. And if we are putting that bad chemicals in the ground, we're not going to have our right food. So we have to look at all these different things that are going on that are just causing us so much grief and so many problems. And I would like to know how we can get past this. If you have any ideas or if you want to get together and talk about it, I'm available to go on Zoom and speak with people. I'm available to have you leave messages for me down below. I'd like to get a bunch of people together. I'd like to have a community here online where we can talk about these things and decide what kinds of steps we can take to make sure that people are prepared and they're ready to adapt. You know, the only thing we can count on in life is change. That's the way it works. We're always having to adapt to this or that. We have to adapt to new leaders. We have to adapt to new laws. We have to adapt to shortages of things or excess of things, or the price going up, or the price changing and making an opportunity to buy something you couldn't buy before. There's always things changing, and to be able to get together and talk about what's going on and put our heads together in terms of trying to decide what kind of things we can do that's going to make a difference. That's what I'm trying to create here, and that's what these reoccurring videos are about. It's about waking people up, or finding people who are already awake, and trying to create a community of talking about what's going on. I also work with the Climate Psychology Alliance online, international. I work with people in Europe and Africa and Australia and all over in the United States and Mexico. I also work with Deep Adaptation, and I work with the Collapse Club, and I work with Earth Listening. All these different groups are, one of the groups is based on Jim Bendel's paper called Deep Adaptation. They're all talking about the fact that we need to adapt to what's coming and make changes. And they're also mentioning that this coming summer is supposed to break records in heat. And I think people need to be prepared for that. Of course, your utility companies definitely need to be prepared. So if you want to talk to me, just leave a message down below. I'll be happy to talk with you, answer questions, text, or meet with you on Zoom, whatever you'd like. Thank you for checking.